Today we're going to be talking about identifying and managing the 6 stressors in life. And gosh, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I can't believe it. So we're going to be talking about how stress causes health problems. Imagine that, huh? So first off, in order to do that, I think the first thing we really need to do is define what is stress. And stress is a heightened response to routine and out of the ordinary conditions and events. And so when we look at stress, I want to give you a few statistics, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more of an understanding on stress. But you have to understand that 70 to 90% of all visits to the doctor are for stress-related illnesses. 50% of all illnesses are caused by stress. 70% of the people surveyed said they felt stressed in a typical day. And stress increases the risk of back pain symptoms by 5 times and cancer by 3 times. What stress does is it affects multiple aspects of your life. And you can ask anybody who has stress if their life is affected. And absolutely, you know that your attitude is affected when you're stressed out. You know that your energy levels are lower, and it also affects your sugar levels. So now it starts to cause problems inside the body, the sugar levels, the hormones, the immune system, the digestive system. Anybody who's been nervous and everything knows that your bowels start to move a lot faster. It affects your nervous system, your respiratory system. You actually breathe faster. So you're not getting in as much oxygen as you should have. It affects your relationships. And it also affects your thought process, as well as your heart rhythm and rate. And if you haven't done a heart sound recorder at our office, you can see the effects of stress on your heart, and you can see how nutrition actually makes a change in your heart, because your heart is a muscle. It's the fastest responding organ system in the entire body to nutrition. And so you can see the changes in your heart within 10 minutes. And then your posture system. You got to understand that your posture system, when you're slouched down like this, you don't breathe as well. And that's what stress does. You always see people who are stressed out, they get into this scrunched in position. You have to also know that there's 2 types of stress. So first type of stress, which of course what most of you probably are thinking about, is distress, which is bad stress. And this is things like suffering, misery, agony, trauma, breakups, death of a loved one, and you can go on and on and on. Loss of a job, crazy boss, all kinds of things like that. But these are all external, and they're usually temporary, and they cause a great deal of physical and or mental strain and stress. Now, the other type of stress is called eustress, which is actually a good stress. Now, good stress is things like that are normal physical or physiological stresses that are actually good for your body. And they're things like exercising or working a crossword puzzle, or anything that might tax you physically or mentally. That's a good type of stress. So the question then becomes is, how do we combat these kinds of stressors, and how can we thrive when we have all this stress and it makes it hard just to survive? Well, today the plan is that we're going to first identify the stress, and then 2, we're going to give you some tools to help eliminate or reduce that stress. Now, first off, let me tell you that there are 6 main stressors in life. I don't know if anybody knows what they are. So the stressors are electromagnetic, allergies, chemicals or toxins, nutrition, emotions, and physical stress. So electromagnetics, allergies, chemicals and toxins, nutritional stress, emotional stress, and physical stress. Actually, the chemicals and the toxins and the nutrition, they're 2 separate categories, but they intermingle a lot. So we're going to go into these in the same order that we talk about them here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is electromagnetic stress. Now, do you have any idea where electromagnetic stress comes from? The things that cause electromagnetic stress are AC current. Now, AC current is when you plug your computer into the wall. That's an AC current. It's a sinusoidal current, okay? Our body is a DC, which is a straight current. It goes straight across. So AC current doesn't work well. And we're going to talk about different things that that you can utilize in order to reduce those stress. One of these is a magnet that we're going to be talking about here in just a second, but other things are like X-rays, radio waves, microwaves, satellite waves, electromagnetic energy or electromagnetic forces that come from your computer, your cell phones, and your iPads. I mean, all these things that cause stress in your life, they are electromagnetically. You have to be able to find a way in order to combat them. And so in order to combat these, one of the things that we talk about is this multipolar magnet. Now, I have this thing in my pocket every single day. It's always in my pocket because it helps to protect me from electromagnetic radiation. Now, one of the things that, if you're on your computer, did you ever notice that maybe you get tired or you get cranky? That's because you need a magnet. We have these magnets. They're actually going on sale for Christmas here. And so that's one of the things. Another thing is the R2L. The R2L is a device that reduces the radiation to your head. And of course, I'm trying to get my phone to work right now. I don't know if you can see it on the back of my phone, but it flashes red every time you start your streaming. What it does is it takes electromagnetic radiation and it changes it into a light energy. And when you turn it into light energy, it reduces the radiation to your head. Now, how many times is your phone up to your head? Anybody who's watching this, all you have to do is bring your phone to me. We'll put your phone anywhere on your body and we'll see if your arm is strong. We'll put one of these, which is flashing pretty good right now. We'll put one of these R2Ls on your phone. And then what we'll do is we will see how strong you are then. Again, you can see that this is working. So it's taking that radiation and it's removing it, turning it into light energy so that it doesn't harm your body. Earthing products. I don't know if you've ever heard it. You can go to earthing.com. I have a pad underneath my computer. I have a sheet on my bed that is plugged into the bottom part of the wall socket, the ground, so that it helps you to ground. There's something called a total shield that you can get online. It reduces the amount of radiation around your, I think it's a 20,000 square foot area that we have here. And then there's harmony pendants. There's all kinds of other different things that reduce 5G radiation to your body. But electromagnetic radiation is real, and it is definitely not something that is good for you. Moving on to the next stress, allergy stress. Well, how do allergies stress you? Well, they can cause you problems with breathing because you have issues with inflammation within your lungs or your sinuses. Decreased performance, whether it be your job because you're constantly blowing your nose or your eyes are watering, or in athletics because you're not breathing as well, so you don't get as much oxygen to your tissue. It reduces your immune function, it reduces your self-esteem, and it also reduces your ability to socialize because if you're constantly sneezing or running nose, you don't feel like hanging around with other people. So what kind of allergens out there are there? Well, there is animal dander, animal hair, plants, trees, grasses, heavy metals, foods, synthetics, medications, clothes, perfumes. I mean, there are so many different things out there that cause allergy issues. But these are all things that we can help you with. We can help to reduce how they affect your body. So what causes allergies? Typically, to be honest with you, it's usually a gut problem. What else? GMOs and vaccinations. We all know, well, we don't all know, but I can tell you that they won't tell you this, but vaccinations are a major problem with the gut. And there are so many more allergies. All you have to do, if you don't believe me, is look at the kids, the Amish people who aren't vaccinated. There's like no autism. The allergies aren't an issue. They don't have these issues that we all do because, as a child, we were vaccinated. But I'm not going to get into that today. That's for another talk. You can always go onto my website and look at my Vaccines 101 or any of the other webinars I've done in the past. So what kind of tools do we have to reduce allergies or allergy stress? Well, at our office, one of the things we do is we reharmonize the offending agent to the body. And that is done by a technique called ACERT, or allergy sensitization, elimination, and reprogramming technique. Now, what we do is we use kinesiological muscle testing to find out what the allergen or the sensitivity problem is. We laser you through multiple different areas of your body, which are acupuncture meridian points. And then within 25 hours, you can usually do whatever it is. I could tell you story after story after story over the last 20 years that we've been doing this. If you want to go onto the website and look under the webinars and look under one of the allergy webinars that we did, in one of them, there's 5 different people who came on and talking about how it changed their lives. I mean, again, there's so many stories of it. Another thing that you can do is you can take drugs, but it's not going to get rid of your allergies. It suppresses them. But the problem with that is it suppresses something else as well. And the other thing that you could do is you could avoid it. You either don't eat it or, and that's another option. The third thing that we're going to talk about is toxicity stress. So when we talk about toxicity stress, what are some examples of toxicity exposure? Well, we have multiples. There's chemical exposures, like at the workplace. Depending on where you work, you may work with chemicals. You may work in a chemical plant. You may work somewhere that uses solvents. There's, lots of my patients are exposed to chemicals every day. Medications. Medication is a toxicity. If I were to take a medication, it's going to have an effect on my body, and I don't need the medication, so it's a toxin. You tell me there's only one medication that doesn't cause a side effect, and that's placebo. We're not going to go there, though. Anyways, pesticides, herbicides. If you're in a golf course regularly, you are exposed to pesticides and herbicides. If you are eating conventional foods, you're, again, exposed to pesticides and herbicides. Makeup. We talk about makeup. We're talking about the stuff that women put on their face, maybe creams that guys or women put on their bodies. What's in these creams? Are there hormones in there? What's in there? Dental amalgam. So if you had fillings in your teeth, especially the silver ones, there's lead in there and there's mercury in there. And those are both problems for the body. The body doesn't deal well with those. And they say, oh, don't worry about it. The mercury doesn't get out of your fillings. Well, it does. It does because when you chew, you increase the heat on the area, and that causes a release of the mercury. So that's a problem. And finally, fluoride. Fluoride is not good for you. I don't care what they tell you. All you have to do is look at many of the different studies that are out there. Fluoride that they stick in water, that is put in municipal water, is not good for you. It causes a problem with your pituitary, and it screws up your hormones. So it is not something that you should be doing. Don't get your children any fluoride treatments. It's not good for them. Some other things: hair products, deodorants, food additives, the exhaust from your vehicles. It's got cadmium, all kinds of heavy metals. And again, we talked about vaccines already. That's a toxin for the body. Now, what kind of tools do we have for removing toxicity? Well, one of the things you can do is you can do a foot bath. So the foot bath is a device that's a battery essentially, and it's a 25-minute process. And what you put your feet in it because the toxins are easily taken out of the soles of the feet or the palms of the hands. So it's a warm water. We put in an array, and it gives either a positive charge for 12 minutes and a negative charge for, I think, 13 minutes. And it pulls toxins out of your body. I have had patient after patient who has been in surgery and had anesthesia and came out feeling garbage. They headaches and all kinds of crap that they felt. We put them in the foot bath and coming out going, I can't believe it. My headache's gone. I can't believe how much better I feel. I have patients with allergies. We get them into the foot bath, and it helps with somewhat with their allergies as well. So the foot bath is one of the things that helps. And I believe there's actually a special on that for Christmas as well. We're going to be talking more about the detoxification and the purification coming up here in that we're going to be doing in January. But these are both programs. They're a 21-day program and a 28-day program. The 21-day program is huge for weight loss. You're going to lose anywhere from 8 to 25 pounds over a period of 3 weeks. I have done this with probably 1,000 patients over the last 20 years. I think I've had 4 patients. There were 4 women that didn't lose any weight at all. You know, it was just, I don't know what happened there. I think it was probably a thyroid problem. But everybody else has lost anywhere from 8 to 25 pounds. Typically, women are losing anywhere from 8 to 12. Guys lose anywhere from 10 to 15 to 18. The Detox Balance program is a 28-day program. You can lose some weight with that, and you probably will lose some, but it is a phenomenal program as well. Both of these programs are to detox your body, and it helps to pull out all the garbage. Think about this. Your liver is like the oil filter on your car. Well, you have to change your oil filter every, 3,000 to 7,000 miles every time you get your oil changed. Well, how often do you cleanse your liver? You know, your liver's getting rid of toxins. And so it's really important that you clean your liver up. And so doing the Detox Balance or the 21-day purification program, I try to do it twice a year. I definitely do it once a year. I try to do it twice a year. Great programs for removing toxins. And none of us wants to have toxins in our body. Actually, we have a toxicity questionnaire. If you're interested, come to the office, fill out the toxicity questionnaire, fill out the system survey, and it'll give us a lot of information about what systems in your body are under stress and how toxic your body actually is. One of the other things that you can do to reduce the toxins in your body is to actually reduce your exposure to them. Now, I know if you're at work, it's really hard to get away from things. Sometimes, you know, putting gloves on, because a lot of these chemicals and solvents and things like that get into your skin and it goes right into your body. So you want to try to get away from them. And many of them are hormone disruptors. And so what a hormone disruptor is that you have in your body, the cells have a receptor site. And so if the hormone is supposed to attach into that receptor site, but the hormone disruptor or the pesticide or the herbicide takes and fills that spot, and now you can't fill it with the hormone, then your body is kind of like it can't use the hormone, so it doesn't work well. So trying to stay away from those is key. There's 2 different papers that I have. One is called the 12 Touch Me Nots. It talks about sodium lauryl sulfate and propylene ethyl glycol and all the things. If you read the labels, you'll see that's in there. That's in the 12 Touch Me Nots. Then there's also the Dirty Dozen foods and the Clean 15. And those are mostly your vegetables and fruits that you either want to stay away from. Like strawberries are great, but you don't want to do conventional strawberries. You want to do organic ones because they're just full of pesticides and herbicides. Coffee's another one. You know, do you realize they're spraying, you're getting coffee from Bolivia or wherever, and they're spraying DDT on it because it's not outlawed there. And so now when you take that coffee, they grind it up, they don't wash it, they just give it to you, and now you're drinking in all those toxins. So coffee's you know, you should be drinking an organic coffee. But if you email us, which I'll give you the email address at the end, we'll send you those 12 Touch Me Nots and the Dirty Dozen. The next one is nutritional stress. Now, what are some examples of nutritional stress? Well, there are things like food additives, artificial sweeteners. Food additives, when you look at artificial sweetener, we're talking stevia, we're talking Splenda, acesulfame potassium. There's a whole bunch of them. GMOs. It's so hard to get food that is not genetically modified now. And our bodies weren't ready or weren't designed for genetically modified food. You know what genetically modified food is? In case you don't, what they do is they grow a plant and they genetically modify it so that they can spray Roundup on it, which will kill weeds, but it won't kill the plant because they genetically modified it so that it could handle the glyphosate from the stuff that they're spraying on it, which is horrible stuff. Processed foods. What are processed foods? Just anywhere in the middle of your grocery store is all processed. Shop around the outside because that's where your fresh foods are at. Alcohol, synthetic vitamins. If you have a question about synthetic vitamins, go onto the website. Check out the video I did on the webinar I did called Can Taking Vitamins Kill You? Hydrogenated fats. Why is hydrogenated fats a problem? Because hydrogenated fats stay in our body. The half-life of a regular fat is 14 days. The half-life of a hydrogenated fat is 51 days. So you're talking 2 weeks compared to over 7 weeks. So what do the ingested toxins look like? Well, we've got MSG, and MSG comes on a label called natural flavors is another thing. You've got sugars, you've got trans fats, you've got high fructose corn syrup. And, if you look at these are things that people eat every single day. The bagels, the burgers, and I'm not saying burgers are necessarily bad for you. The question is where did you get the burger from? Okay, a buddy of mine in 2007 had a McDonald's, 4 different Happy Meals, McDonald's, Hardee's, Burger King, and I think there was one more. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head now. And he had Happy Meals from 2007 sitting on a table in his office. Okay, 10 years ago, I saw them, and they were all still sitting there. They all looked like these pictures. If you look at these pictures on here, this is the McDonald's Happy Meal that 5 years later has no fat, no mold, no nothing. There's no mold on the fries. There's no mold on the bread. It's horrible for you. In fact, there are 60 different ingredients in a McDonald's French fry. 60. You realize that? Do you know that you can smoke a McDonald's French fry? You could put it in your mouth, light the end, and you can smoke it. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I know they may taste good to some people. They're not good. And so we just talked about the fact that we're eating all kinds of stuff. Well, in the United States, the United States allows over 14,000 chemical additives to our food supply. That's ridiculous. We don't need 14,000 chemical additives, and they don't even test a lot of these. The average American consumes 150 pounds of food additives and 180 pounds of sugar annually. At the turn of the century, in 1900, do you know how much the average person ate in sugar per year? 10 pounds. 10 pounds of sugar a year. And now we're eating over 180. And we wonder why we have diabetes. Sugar is the cause. I'm just going to get into, before I hit emotional stress, sugar is the actual cause of cholesterol problems. Cholesterol is not the problem with the heart. The sugar is, because the sugar causes the inflammatory response in the blood vessels. And then the cholesterol has to go and try to calm it down. Cholesterol is a good thing. Why do you think as you get older, your cholesterol levels go up? They go up because your body's starting to break down more. Okay. And cholesterol is a healer. You need cholesterol for your brain, your nervous system. And then they put you on these statins, and then you sit on these statins, which lowers your cholesterol artificially. Your cholesterol is needed for all your reparative hormones. So how are you going to repair now? You need it for your brain. So people start having all kinds of memory issues. You start having all kinds of joint aches when they put you on these cholesterol medications for the myth that says cholesterol is the problem for heart disease, when clearly it's not. And all you have to do is look at a whole bunch of different thoracic surgeons out there who will tell you that they have done surgery on people who had cholesterol levels of 300 and had blood vessels that were clean as a whistle. And they had patients whose blood cholesterol levels were 145 and their arteries were all clogged up. It's not the cholesterol. Let's move on. Okay, emotional stress. So we like to say that emotional stress is issues in the tissues. Yes, issues in the tissues. So where does emotional stress come from? It comes from everywhere. It comes from divorce, death, abuse, job stress, bad relationships. We talk about words having power. When you say, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser, or job is killing me, you have to pay attention to the words you use, because your brain records every single thing that you say every single day, and it takes it in. So when you speak life. You've probably heard the song, Speak Life. So, life and death and the power of the tongue. Many of you heard that, okay? Words have power. Use your words wisely. So what effect does emotional stress have on your body? Well, it causes pain. It causes failed goals, illnesses, fatigue, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and a whole bunch more. I can't tell you how many times we have had patients do emotional work and their pain goes away. And sometimes, because if you remember that physical, chemical, emotional, toxin, allergy, electromagnetics, these are all stressors. If you only deal with one stress, if you're only doing nutritional stress and you don't fix the physical or the emotional or anything else, you're not ever going to get there. All these areas have to be worked on. I've had patients with herniated discs who I started seeing, and I treated them for a couple of weeks. We didn't get any results, and I tested them, and I said, you have an emotional component to this. We need to release that. And when they finally went and released that emotional component, their pain symptoms dropped dramatically within a very short time. Everything else started to take place. Everything fits together. And last but not least, as I said, emotional stress causes physical problems. So what kind of things can you do in order to remove emotional stress? Well, there's something called neuro-emotional technique. And Lindsay Sadowski, you can look her up. Lindsay used to work for me, and I got trained in the neuro-emotional technique. Lindsay got trained in it, and she worked for me for 5 years, and now she's out on her own. She's actually in Mentor over by Heisley Road area. Tapping technique or emotional freedom technique. It's very simple to learn. It's something you can do yourself. If you want to know that, we can send you a paper that shows you how to do that. You can actually go onto my website and look under webinars. And I've done 1 or 2 webinars on emotional freedom technique. So learn it and use it. It's amazing. Heart math is another way for learning to get your body to calm down and to be able to use your parasympathetic nervous system more than your sympathetic nervous system, because your sympathetic nervous system is your fight flight and your parasympathetic is your rest digest, your calm down. Okay, so heart math is another great technique. EMDR, we have another patient that does EMDR. We can get you her name. Emotion code is another one that's out there. And the Magnosphere, actually, which is not presently up in the office, but is another, it will be, but that's another thing that you can utilize to help calm the body down. And finally, herbs and nutrition. There's multiple herbs that really help. I've had a lot of patients with stress and anxiety, and we've used either St. John's wort, or we've used Nevatin forte, or we've used kava, and had amazing results. So there's a lot of different ways to attack that. And finally, the last stress we're going to talk about is physical stress. Now, how do you get physical stress? Well, injuries, posture, we talked about that already, repetitive movements and positions. And how does it affect your health? Well, spinal stress causes nerve system stress, okay? And it's always all about the nerves. So let's look at a breakdown of what a nerve looks like. This is what a nerve, a depiction of what a nerve is kind of like coming out of your spine. Okay, at every different level, you have these nerves coming out. Half of the nerve, so 90% of the nerve is for function. Okay, half of that part is for the motor part, or for your muscles. The other part is for your autonomic part, is for your organ systems. Okay, so the nerves coming out of your neck are going to control your heart, your lungs, your thyroid, your pancreas, your stomach, and your liver. If we keep going down, they control a whole bunch more, which I'll show you in a second. 10% of the nerve is for what you feel, but only half of that's for pain. Well, research shows that you have to lose 60% of the function of the nerve before you have pain. So by the time you have pain, let's say you have pain in your neck, or going down your arm, by the time you have that pain, your nerve, that nerve or nerves coming out of that area that could go to that area are only functioning at 40% or less. So if your heart or your lungs or your thyroid or your intestines are only getting 40% of the information that they need, how long is it before they go from dysfunction to malfunction and finally to disease? So this is why physical stress and handling physical stress is very important. Of course, me being a chiropractor, that's a majority of what we do. This is what the central nervous system looks like. And as you can see here, it controls everything. Your eyes, your lungs, your heart, your thyroid, your reproductive organs, everything is controlled through the spine. And you can see all the different levels where the nerves come off that control those areas. Now, the body has to be in balance to allow itself to heal. Okay. There was a research study done, and what they did was there were 50 cadavers. The guy opened up the cadavers, and when he looked at their spine, he found that 49 out of the 50 had some sort of a curvature, whether it be the whole spine, parts of the spine, individual segments. He found that 49 of those 50 people had some kind of a part in their spine that was shifted, twisted, or some had some kind of a curvature. And what they did was every time that cadaver had a sick organ, let's say the person had a liver problem, if you trace the nerves back to the area in the thoracic spine or in the neck that go to the liver, they found that those areas had curvature, meaning that there was stress on those segments. And the more damage they found in the spine correlated with a higher amount of damage and sickness of that organ. So the worst problem they had here and here, the bigger problem they found with the heart. Okay, does that make sense? So how can chiropractic help with stress? Well, the nerves coming out of the spine all connect directly to the brain, okay? The brain sends a signal down the spinal cord, out through the nerve roots. So with chiropractic, what we do is we make adjustments to take the stress off of those nerves so that the body can communicate more freely with the brain without any interference, okay? 90% of all the nutrition to the brain comes from movement of the spine. So somebody who gets in a car accident, they put him in a cervical collar. Do you know that within less than 2 weeks, there's already atrophy in the brain? Because when the spine doesn't work right, it doesn't send a signal to the brain saying, hey, everything's good here. So the brain starts going, what's going on? Nothing's working back there when your spine isn't moving properly. And so your brain starts to have problems. Like I said, within 2 weeks, there was atrophy of the brain. So what we know is that spinal adjustments create better brain communication, therefore decreasing the stress, okay? One of the research from the Annals of Vertebral Subluxation in 2016, there was a patient, they were doing case studies, and a patient who had been studying from a panic disorder for over 3 years, had no relief from standard care. She had chest pain for over 8 months. She started getting some chiropractic adjustments, and within a short period of time, she started having a significant reduction in her symptoms and a resolution of her symptoms of her panic disorders after 14 weeks. Now, why would that be? That would be because the nervous system was freaking out. The spine was so messed up, or so it was not functioning properly, which was causing so much stress on the nervous system that the body could only function by concentrating on itself. Okay, it couldn't deal with any outside stresses. There was so much stress inside that it couldn't deal with anything outside. And I can't tell you how many times I have people who are coming to me, and they've been coming to me for a month or 2 months or whatever, and they say, you know, doc, it's amazing because my stress levels are not any different than they were before, but they don't seem to bother me anymore. Like, I don't have the problems that I used to have. They're not stressing out because the body is capable, the brain is capable of handling outside stress now. So how do we handle these outside stressors? Well, physically, we get adjusted. We restore the normal movement pattern. We reduce the stress on the nerve. We allow the brain and the body to communicate, and the body functions. You exercise is another thing. You know, keep yourself moving. Acupuncture, stretching, yoga. All these things are going to help you physically, emotionally. Tapping, NET, EMDR, heart math. We went over these. Nutritional. You want to eat well. Eat good stuff. Eat whole food. Take whole food supplements and avoid the additives. Toxins, chemicals. Avoid skin contact, indigestion of the different toxins. Do a detox. Do a foot bath. These are all things that you can utilize. Allergies. Remember, we talked about ACER, which is allergy sensitivity elimination reprogramming technique. Repair the gut. You know, take nutrition to repair the gut and avoid things. Those are different things that you can do. And finally, electromagnetics. And we talked again about the multipolar magnet, and we talked about the R2L and earthing. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do for the electromagnetics. The question becomes, how much money is your health worth? I mean, that's a question that everybody has to respond to, and everybody's in a different place. And, people put off one thing for another all the time. So this is a question that you have to ask and answer for yourself. Now, one of the things I want to tell you about is something called serum thiol. Now, serum thiol is the stuff that's in your cells that actually repairs damaged DNA. Okay, so when DNA is damaged, there's like three things that would happen, right? The cell will die, the cell would mutate, or the cell would malfunction. Okay, those are basically the three things that would happen when you do not repair damaged DNA. And serum thiol is the stuff that's in your cells that helps to repair the damaged DNA. Now, the average person has 90 nanomoles of cysteine. Okay, and so that's what's the serum thiol. 90 nanomoles is what you need to risk having a 95% chance of having one of the 9 major stressors or major diseases, kidney disease, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, cancer, neurologic diseases, diabetes, etc. Okay, so if you're average, okay, so remember I said the average person has 90. If you have 90, you have a 95% chance of developing one of the 9 major diseases. Okay, so you're pretty much guaranteed, right? Unless you can upregulate that serum thiol, that cysteine that's in your blood levels. Okay, now after 1 year of having regular nervous system adjustments, that's the study that was done on chiropractic adjustments, and it was twice a month, 2 adjustments a month. After 1 year, the levels went to 124. Okay, from 90 average to 124. After 3 years of regular chiropractic, levels rose to 146 nanomoles. Okay, so at just 120, remember, after 1 year, you're at 124. At 120, you drop your risk to 5% for developing those 9 different diseases. Okay, I've been getting adjusted every week now for, I don't know, I started when I was 7, and I've been getting adjusted every week since I've been in chiropractic college. And so, I mean, probably 33, 34 years I've been adjusted every week. I've missed 2 days of work in 30 years. Your health doesn't only affect you. Remember, it affects everyone around you, okay? It's like that drop in the water, ripples out. If you don't feel good, it affects how your wife or your husband or your kids or your friends or your mom or your dad. When your health is messed up, it affects everyone else. So, for anyone who's listening, and anyone who watches this, right now we're doing $50 off your initial chiropractic evaluation with Dr. Josh. So all you have to do is mention that you watched the webinar, and if you're a new patient, you get $50 off with Dr. Josh. Also, watch out for our other monthly and holiday specials in all of our services, because we are always doing something. So, check out the newsletters, and if you don't get a newsletter, email us. We'll get you on the list so you can get emails, newsletters. They're usually once a month. We're not going to bother you. I want to thank you for coming. I want you to understand that our goal for you is always for you to thrive and not just survive. And my wish for you is to prosper and be in good health. So thanks for coming. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you soon.